Most people believe ownership is simple. You buy something, you own it. Your name is on the paper. That's how normal wealth works. But extreme wealth doesn't work like that. When you reach a certain level, ownership becomes dangerous. Because ownership creates exposure. If your name is on a property, you can be sued. If your name is on a company, you can be targeted. If your name is on assets, they can be frozen. Billionaires understand something early. Control is more important than ownership. Let's break that down. There are 3 layers to how large fortunes are structured. Layer 1, the visible company. This is what you see in the news. The brand, the logo, the CEO. But that visible company is rarely owned directly by a person. Layer 2, holding companies. Instead of owning assets personally, the wealthy create holding entities. These entities own the businesses, properties, investments. So when you look up ownership, you don't see a person. You see another company. Layer 3, trusts and private structures. At the top of the pyramid sits something quiet. Trusts, family offices, foundations. These structures don't own in the traditional sense. They control. And control is everything. Here's an example. Let's say a billionaire owns 60% of a global company. If that ownership is personal, any lawsuit could target it. But if the shares are owned by a trust, the trust owns the shares. The billionaire is a beneficiary. Control remains. Exposure disappears. Legally clean. Emotionally invisible. This is why you rarely see ultra-wealthy families losing everything overnight. Because they don't build wealth in a straight line. They build it in layers. Another reason ownership is hidden? Taxes. Direct ownership often creates higher liability. Layered ownership allows strategic movement of assets, income distribution, reinvestment, all within legal boundaries. It's not about avoiding taxes illegally. It's about structuring wealth intelligently. Now here's something deeper. Psychology. When you own everything directly, you think short-term. When your wealth sits inside a structure designed for generations, you think long-term. This is why family dynasties last 100+ years. Because ownership isn't emotional. It's architectural. Old money understands this. New money often doesn't. New money buys the car in their name. Old money leases through a company owned by a holding company owned by a trust. New money buys the house personally. Old money holds property through layered real estate vehicles. New money thinks mine. Old money thinks control. That's the difference between rich and powerful. Now let's talk about privacy. Extreme wealth attracts attention. Attention attracts risk. Kidnapping, lawsuits, political pressure, public scrutiny. When your name isn't directly tied to assets, you reduce personal visibility. You become harder to target, harder to trace, harder to attack. And in the world of real power, invisibility is protection. Here's the part most people misunderstand. Hiding ownership doesn't mean hiding crime. It means separating identity from structure. That separation is what creates longevity. Let's say a company fails. If it's directly owned, the failure hits you. If it's owned through a holding structure, the damage is contained, compartmentalized. This is how large portfolios survive downturns. Each entity stands alone. Risk is isolated. Losses don't spread like fire. It's strategic containment. Now ask yourself, why don't we get taught this? Because most people are taught to earn income, not build structures. We're taught to open bank accounts, not create entities. We're taught to hustle, not architect. And that's the hidden layer of wealth. Ownership is public. Control is private. If you want to think like the elite, stop asking, how can I own more? Start asking, how can I structure better? Because once you understand structure, you realize wealth isn't loud. It's layered. And the quietest names often control the most assets. If this perspective shifted how you think about money, ownership, or power, subscribe. Hidden fortune is about understanding what isn't obvious. And the next layer, goes even deeper.